Let's talk about the top of the Premier League then, and City against Liverpool specifically. I mean, look, no fluke in the scoreline. City 4 points behind Arsenal. How concerned should Arsenal be?
They should be looking over their shoulders because City do look good. What you and Ali were saying earlier about Haaland and if they lose him, there's a problem. That sentence came just after you'd reeled off all the subs.
Yeah.
Now, and they have got an incredible squad, but have they got another goal scorer even remotely close to half of what Haaland is?
No.
Probably not. So
Definitely not.
That could be a problem. But let's assume he stays fit, then Arsenal do have a big problem. And I think how Arsenal respond after the international break to a setback where they didn't just drop points, they conceded 2 goals. And I think we're all thinking their defence was invincible. We were all thinking it's going to be so hard to score against them, and Sunderland go and score 2 and get a point off them. So I think how Arsenal respond to that is going to be interesting. If it's the same old Arteta Arsenal, then they'll keep dropping points and they'll crumble and they won't win the league. But they've looked the best team so far.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are suggesting that showed some vulnerability in Arsenal, but it's one game, and we shouldn't underestimate how difficult it is to go to the Stadium of Light.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere there, I was there first day of the season when they beat West Ham. I've been there a couple of times since, and I'm not joking, that atmosphere, I'm not a big believer in the crowds, give you a goal or give you a head start or whatever, because the crowd can be great, but sometimes that puts players under pressure. That crowd, though, are totally and 100% with the players, and I do think it adds something. There's something the manager, and in particular Granit Xhaka, has helped develop there, which is a togetherness with everybody, including the crowd, and I think it really does help them. It's a brilliant atmosphere, and this guy at the back, Dan Ballard, is just it's sensational. Here's a question, though. He was born in Stevenage. He's got 29 Northern Ireland caps. If he had waited... Now, listen, he may feel Northern Irish through and through, and in which case, fine, but if he waited... Given Mark Gahey being out this week, might he have got a call-up? We'll never know.
My view is that he probably would have done.
Yeah.
He has been one of the standout performers, not just for Sunderland this season, but in the Premier League this season, in my view. And the block, not just his goal, the block at the end was just brilliant. And it typified everything that's Sunderland.
Yeah, absolutely right. And everything that you have to do when you come up to stay in the Premier League. They're not just staying in the Premier League, they're flourishing at the moment, fourth in the table, aren't they? So
brilliant.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
But of course, Liverpool. Look, we had a difference of opinion. Coisty thinks there's still a chance that they could defend their title. I think it's all over as far as they're concerned. Where do you stand?
Yeah, it's done, isn't it? You can't see... Right, they've got to catch up with Arsenal. Now, Arsenal are not going to crumble like they normally do, okay? They may drop points, but I can't see them crumbling like they normally do. So Liverpool have got to make up that gap of 8 points. So that's 3 wins, and Arsenal have got to drop points at the same time as well. Man City have also got to drop points. There's only 4 points the gap, but they looked far inferior. Now, are these signings going to suddenly click? I don't think so. It's just one of those things that Liverpool have dropped off from where they were last season, and it happens. The Joe versus Joe call earlier was absolutely sensational. Plant pots are quite useful, by the way, I will point that out. But I cannot see Liverpool winning the title. I would say they're definitely out of it. Not because they can't win games or can't amass points, but it's because the teams above them, particularly Arsenal and Man City, I think it's a 2-horse race, by the way. Arsenal and Man City, I think that's it. They're not going to drop enough points for Liverpool to get back in it.
I mean, Joe won. He wanted Arne Slot out. But is he in a minority amongst Liverpool fans, do you think?
Well, what you've got to remember is that the owners have allowed Richard Hughes to go and buy all these players and spend a huge amount of money, okay? Now, as we've seen at Norwich, who goes first? The fans were calling for the director of football to go at the weekend, Ben Napper. Liam Manning has gone. That was always, I said it on Saturday, Manning's going to go before the director of football. The same thing will happen at Liverpool. Now, I can't see it happening anytime soon because he's, as you rightly pointed out, he's got in the bank a Premier League trophy. He won the Premier League in his first season, which not even Pep did. So I can't see him being sacked. However, he will be scrutinised because so much money has been spent. And if at the end of the season, they haven't got Europe next season, if they're not in the Champions League next season, I think that his position will be reviewed. I really do.
Obviously, one of the talking points, and nobody knows if it would have made any difference or not, was the disallowed Virgil van Dijk goal. Now, I felt it should have stood. Chris Foy said a moment or two ago that it was very subjective. Where do you stand?
It cannot be a goal. It cannot be allowed to stand. And here's the reason, right? Van Dijk heads it towards Robertson. Okay, it's on Robertson. Robertson is on that side, and it goes towards Robertson to the point where Robertson has to duck. Okay, and that for me is key. He's got to duck to avoid the ball. All right, it's not in the line of vision, but he's impacting what's going on. He's had to duck. Why is Robertson standing there? It's to put off the keeper. He's not standing there because he wants to be offside. He's not standing there because he wants to tap it in. He's standing there to put the keeper off. So because he's doing that,
he did not prevent Donnarumma from, attempting to save it. And if you listen to Jamie Carragher, who in this case is obviously completely unbiased, the way Donnarumma's weight was on his other foot at the time. There was no way he could have got back across to stop that.
That to me cannot come into it because, the linos, the VAR officials, they are not football experts and certainly not goalkeeping experts who can decide, his weight's there, so he's not going to get to it. That can't come into it at all, okay? What I would say is that if it goes the other side, if Van Dijk heads it the other side, it's definitely a goal, okay? Even though Robertson's in an offside position, but because it goes towards him and he ducks, I think that you have to disallow that goal. And bear this in mind as well. Was he late getting to it? And you talk about the weight being on his foot, and that might well have been the reason. But was he late getting to it because he didn't know if Robertson, in his corner of his eye, is Robertson going to head it the other side? Have I got to stay in this position long enough to know if he's going to head it the other side? So that, I think it impacts him definitely. So you have to rule the goal out.
Look, whatever the case, there's no question City were by far the better side on the day, thoroughly deserved their victory. Johnny in Bedford's just texted, he said, Brian Clough said if he's not interfering with play, shouldn't be on the pitch. The Van Dijk goal was rightly ruled offside and interfering with play. Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. Aid coming up.
It's incredible how these shows still try to scare Arsenal fans, isn't it? City are coming, Arsenal will collapse after the break, it's the same old Arteta, the same old script. But come on, and anyone watching Arsenal play knows this team is on another level. The mentality has changed, the consistency has changed, and the way the squad reacts to setbacks, that's what champions do. Of course, City are strong, nobody's denying that, but this idea that Arsenal are going to fall apart is nothing but wishful thinking from the media. They just can't stand seeing Arsenal at the top. They'd rather stick to their usual narrative. Oh, Arsenal will bottle it. Arsenal will fade away. But look at what they're ignoring. The defence is a wall. The midfield is rock solid. And the attack, even when not at its peak, still creates chances and controls games like very few teams in Europe. So when I hear these pundits saying Arsenal's response after the setback will define everything, I think perfect. Because that's exactly what champions do. They fall once, but they come back stronger. And I'll say this, City might have Haaland, but Arsenal have something money can't buy. Unity, hunger, and the soul of a champion. So they can say whatever they want. But for me, Arsenal right now are the best team in Europe. And those who doubt it will have to swallow their words game after game. And if you believe in this Arsenal too, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications because here we talk about Arsenal with passion, no filters and no fear of the truth. Let's go all the way, Gunners.